Hello again, students. This is Dr. Licata here. I'm talking to you a little bit about dispute resolution and how can we successfully um, work with parents, um, even colleagues, and those with whom we disagree. But primarily when we look at special education, especially those of you that are looking to be special educators and are principal um, candidates, uh, dispute resolution is part of the territory. So today we're going to talk about best practices for tough communication situations. We're going to look at 3 different areas. And in our objective for today's lesson presentation, we are hoping to achieve the following: that you will be able to respond to a disagreeable person, you will be able to respond to a critical person, and respond to an emotional person. And we know that parents want what's best for their children. And that's what I would always tell parents when I spoke with them, is that I know you want what's best for your child. And I have seen many, many, many parents across the desk or next to me in a meeting become disagreeable or critical or emotional. So with that, I'm hoping to share some light on those for you. First of all, when we talk about a disagreeable person, they may just disagree because they don't have all the facts. But when someone disagrees with you, it's very important that you try to handle this conflict on your own first. We really don't want it to go further when we talk about the individuals that have IEP process rights and everything that is entailed with IDEA. So it's important that you try to handle this on your own first. And only after you've tried to handle it on your own should you engage your supervisor. Teachers, that would be your principal, principals. Obviously, if you have a special ed director in your district, or if you have a supervisor for pupil personnel, sometimes they act as supervisor when it comes to special education topics. Sometimes it needs to be the superintendent, and I'm sure the superintendent would be apprised when it reached a certain level. Many times you're going to receive written complaints, especially today. Those written complaints are in the form of emails. I haven't seen a lot of text in terms of complaints, but certainly plenty of emails. And I received one time from a parent who decided to copy her attorney, and she made sure that I knew that that was her attorney that she was copying when she sent the email. I think it was more to scare me than anything else, but you will get written complaints. And it's important that you respond to those objectively and in a timely manner. And always, if they are copied to anyone on the other end, anyone who's copied should get a response when you respond to that person. But it's also important, too, that you're starting to look at how we develop the relationship. And collaboration is a topic for MED 535, but really building the relationship with the individual will help to alleviate the disagreement with anyone. But respond to the written complaints in a very timely fashion. If you're able to pick up the phone and call the person, that will help to establish that relationship rather than fire off back a cold response without that, but certainly acknowledging the person with a phone call is helpful, because then they know that it's important to you and you're going to take the time to handle it. The steps for the process, should the complaint continue and not be satisfied with a disagreeable person, we have facilitation, mediation, steps in the due process ladder when someone disagrees with the way that the IEP is written or has been implemented. Certainly, we'll try to facilitate. A facilitator can be brought in to help find common ground. If the facilitation is not successful, it can go to mediation and even dispute resolution, which are higher up, and we discuss those in MED 535 more in depth. This is all called due process, and when you get to the due process phase, at this point you have a lawyer involved working with you, and you will be keeping your supervisor involved with the process. You will also have the district's attorney involved, typically with these cases. And it can go as far as the court systems. We know some cases actually do go to litigation and have to be settled at that point. But the bottom line is you try to respond to the disagreeable person by handling it on your own, as amicably as you can, as personably as you can, and hear what the other person has to say. Try to find common ground. If there is a total disagreement, obviously then you have to take it forward from there. At this point, you may want to stop the video and open the brochure that I have placed on the website for you, and it's called Office of Dispute Resolution. It provides you with more details about legal options, and again, you will be seeing more of this in MED 535 if you haven't already done so. Okay, so now you want to respond to a criticizing person. Unfortunately, I find myself as a parent of children with disabilities in this position. Maybe it's because I'm an educator, so I play that dual role and have that hat, but a lot of times I find myself criticizing the system and always trying to look for positive, but I find that I'm the critical end. And here are some steps that you can follow that will help you to respond to people like me who are criticizing. It's important to acknowledge the truth in what has been said. One time I recall contacting my child's school because I was in there for a brief meeting, and there was an announcement made over the intercom. A song was played for morning song, mystery music of the day, and it was "The Devil Went Down to Georgia." And I was appalled that that song was being played with young children in the morning. So I contacted the school. The principal contacted me. I contacted them via email and was very professional, questioning what I had heard, and said, I didn't come into the school often. But the principal of the school contacted me and acknowledged that what I had said in my email was true, and that it was disruptive, and that never should have been played. So by acknowledging that, it kind of lowered my level of concern, because now I know that I've been heard. And that's what a criticizing person wants to know, is that they've been heard. Now, the second step is to agree and reinforce with that agreement. And as I've said, that's what this principal did, is she agreed with me and said that, that absolutely should not have been played on the PA system. Step 3 is just reiterating and this is what I don't agree with what you've said. And there will be times that when you're listening to someone and they're criticizing, you want to find the common ground to say, I agree with, and reinforce the agreement. But it's okay to say, now you said this, and I don't really agree with that. And then you want to back it up with data. You want to say, based upon my experiences, or based upon my training, or based upon research that I've recently read, and then state why you don't agree. But often if you say where your comment is coming from, I base my statement upon a training session that I was recently at, or work that I've conducted, or my experiences, or having worked with children for X number of years that demonstrate this type of behavior. I found that, but having that to support it really helps. And the next step in your process of responding to a criticizing person would then be able to say to him or her that you are seeking some type of acknowledgement from that parent that what you've said may be credible. Wouldn't you agree, Mrs. Jones, that sometimes children respond the way that I've indicated? So looking for agreement is good, because then you're asking them to see your side of the picture. But if they continue to disagree and they say, no, I don't agree with that, I still feel this way, then it's okay to say, well, then, I think we agree to disagree on that point, and I'm pleased that we're able to work in so many other ways together and find mutual common ground. And this is just an area that we disagree on. But I think the more that amicable and collaborative your response can be, the more successful the interaction will be. And remember, you're building the relationship. And the last thing, obviously, if this is in person, you would smile and thank the person for talking with you. The third person you might want to respond to is an emotional person. And this is actually an article that I have that you'll be reading and doing a little activity related to this. And when there's a little acronym that goes with this, laugh, listen, ask questions, focus, and find a first step. So when you're responding to an emotional person, you want to think of the acronym LAUGH. I'm going to listen. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to stay focused. And then we'll find a first step. I was recently expressing to undergraduate students the most important skill that you can learn in becoming a teacher, and many of you know this already, is to learn to listen to parents. Not talk, but listen. And parents want to be heard. They want to know that you're listening to their concern and that you're going to treat them as a partner in their child's education. So the first and most important thing you can do is listen. And if they're with you, obviously you're going to make eye contact. You're going to sit across from the person, not necessarily a desk in between. Even as a principal, I didn't always sit with a desk in between myself and the parent. I tried to sit alongside of them at a table, or in a more mutually collaborative way. But you want to listen to the person and look at them while they're speaking to you. One of the things I always did when I met with a person who was emotional, they were upset about their child, was I had a notebook. And when a person would come in, I would take my notebook out and I would say, I want to take notes on what you're saying so that I don't miss anything. So I would write down what the person was saying. And sometimes it was very detailed notes, and sometimes it would be sketchy notes. And if you're on the phone with a person, you can always say, I'm taking notes about what you're telling me so that I don't miss anything, so that they know. So obviously you'd have to describe that. But taking notes is the signal to parents that you're listening. So you're going to ask questions. You're going to, and tell the parent, what I heard, use clarifying statements. What I heard you say was this. Did you mean, or is that all the time or only when? And affirm the parent for coming to you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that information with me. Thank you for feeling comfortable to come to me and share this about your child. Even if they're screaming at you, thank them for coming to you. Thank them for allowing you to hear what their concerns were. But they want validation that you've heard them. Once somebody hears that validation, then their level of concern is lowered. They're not heightened, they're not screaming, they're not yelling. You want to alleviate that and make sure that that parent knows that you've heard what they said. It doesn't mean you agree. It means you've heard what they said. And taking notes will help you to focus, which is the first F of laugh. So you want to stay focused and listen carefully on what they're telling you. The last F is to find a first step. I would always try to hear what they said and then say to the person, well, let's look at what our game plan could be here. Or it sounds to me as though the first step that we could take would be, or how about if we, or how about if I do this and you do this? But then once you take that first step, or you have that first step in the action plan, that helps the parents know that you mean business and that you're serious about their concern. So LAUGH is the acronym that we want to employ when we're talking to an emotional person and we're responding to that person. Now, the thing that you don't want to do is cry. Seriously, don't start crying. And I know that's the acronym, but you really don't want to start crying. Even though sometimes it's painful because you're thinking, what did I do to deserve this? I've put my sweat, blood, sweat, and tears into this child, and here the parent is ripping me up one side and down the other. And, so don't take it personally. It's hard to do, but you have to remember, it's not you. It's the situation. This is their child. This is their, their gift, and they want to ensure that their child is receiving what he or she should be receiving. So the first thing you don't want to do is criticize. You don't want to make any critical comments about, well, you should have known, or I sent that information home already, or didn't you see it online on our website, or because that only heightens the level of concern and the person gets more upset. And now you're destroying any chance for a collaborative relationship. Another thing you don't want to do in the R is to react hastily. Well, then I'll do this, or I'll do this. So you don't want to react hastily to anything that's said to you. You want to remain calm and develop a little mantra. When I was first a principal, I was an assistant principal, I remember my mentor said to me, the more someone yells at you and is emotional, the calmer you need to be. So keep telling yourself, stay calm, stay calm. And the calmer you are, and the more even toned you are with that person, then they eventually will calm to your level of calmness. But you have to be in control of who you are. And that goes for teaching, and that goes for being a principal, because it's the same. It's the same in any type of relationship. It's the same when you're dealing with a spouse or a significant other or a child, especially our children. So don't react hastily. And the last is, don't do what I've been doing during this entire video, is yak, yak, yak. Because parents don't want to hear all the talking and what you think and what you have to say. They want to talk. They're upset. You have to be the listener. So you listen. Okay, there's an opportunity for you to use the laugh, don't cry strategy in an activity that I have posted for you. There are a number of clips, and what I'd like you to do is to take a look at them and see if you could determine for yourself more detailed information about how to use the strategy, and it will give you some practice. I hope you've gained some knowledge from this video, and I look forward to sharing with you more experiences in the near future.